What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Crunch Time for NBA here on this lovely Saturday. I am Britt Devine here with my man TJ, Mr. Agents of Fandom, Mr. Chillin' in Canada. TJ, I woke up this morning. So I live in like upstate New York. It's almost like Canada. It was minus 15 here this morning. It was not cool. And that's Fahrenheit, not Celsius. I'm not sure what the translation to that is.
When it gets that, it's pretty darn close to the same once it starts getting there. But that's not respect. It's only -5 here Fahrenheit right now, so you're actually colder at this moment. We were getting some -30 for a while.
There's a heat wave, TJ. It's 9 degrees now, so it's warming up slowly.
Oh, okay, yeah, you might got me beat. We got some 20-degree temperatures here later in the week, which I'm excited about. Maybe hopefully can go outside without my nostrils immediately freezing and my skin immediately hurting, all that good stuff. But I mean, hey, you guys are getting a good taste of what it's like.
Yeah, not too happy about it. And the wind was, I think the wind chill is like -30 or something like that. All right, so I want to go over some injury news is coming through right here. Klay Thompson's going to play. Giannis is listed available to play. So it looks like those are a couple of things here. I want to hit at the top here real quick. What are we waiting on? Because there is some stuff a little later in the night. I really like my teams right now. I don't know if I'm going to really set anything up to take advantage of if Jokic doesn't play. We don't really know with his hamstring. He had this a couple of weeks ago. We'll see if he suits up tonight. Trae Young, midday questionable with an illness. We'll see if he plays. There's a couple other guys. Those are the main two. Do you have any takes on if these guys play or not? They are games a little bit later in the night. So, Atlanta, Denver, 9 o'clock. I know we were waiting on Klay Thompson. That was the 8:30 game. Everything else I think looks reasonably set right now. As it stands right now, I'm not really setting anything up in an attempt to try to take advantage of this because I have too much value with Miami, with Dallas currently to really worry about what's going to happen in this late game.
Yeah, in terms of like cheap value, I agree with you. The one thing it does make me want to do, though, in terms of this late game is get overweight on a guy like Jamal Murray in tournaments, get overweight on a guy like DeJounte Murray in tournaments, both of the Murrays, because at their 7,900 and 8,300 price tags, even if Trae Young plays, even if Nikola Jokic plays, those guys are still fine plays. There's nothing wrong with those guys as plays whatsoever. And if you happen to get Trae Young out, if you happen to get Nikola Jokic out, then all of a sudden the two Murrays, Jamal and DeJounte, are two of the very best plays on the slate. And so I really like getting overweight to those guys in tournaments because they're fine, even if those guys happen to be in. And then if they're out, they become really, really strong plays.
Yep, two different minds here. Me more of the cash safe mind, you more of the tournament mind. I think that's exactly your take is also correct, as well as mine from the cash game perspective. So I want to 3 guys. They're the same 3 guys on both sites right now. And TJ, you can tell me if you're in agreement. Sometimes we'll have differences, which always makes for a good show, honestly, in my opinion. I'm looking at Dinwiddie. I'm looking at Hardaway. I'm looking at Gabe Vincent. You can mix in Caleb Martin as well for Miami as a value play, but Vincent is just a little bit cheaper. And, I don't think it's out of reach to think he might be able to outdo Caleb Martin well. But those are the 3 guys I'm really keying on right now. Dinwiddie, Hardaway, of course, without Luka, without Christian Wood. There's just a lot of usage, a lot of scoring, a lot of ball handling, a lot of everything to go around for those 2. Vincent, without Lowry, without Oladipo, he's back in. He just got listed as he's going to be in there. It's just there's just so much for these 3 guys to particularly do, a little bit more so from the Dallas side. But Vincent just provides elite value if you want to try to get some of those other names like a Bam, a Jimmy Butler. Let's say you want to try to get a Steph Curry or Gilgeous-Alexander or a Damian Lillard or somebody like that into your lineup tonight. You need some of these value plays. Miami, Dallas, that's where I'm targeting. Do you see any reason to not want to, at least from the cash game perspective that I'm talking about, to basically go all in on all 3 of these guys tonight?
No, I think you are spot on. I think even if you're playing tournaments, I think you want to be getting Spencer Dinwiddie in basically all of your lineups today. But no, I'm with you 100%. I agree with that as a starting point. And then from a FanDuel standpoint, I know Cards has DeAndre Ayton here tagged as his core play as well. Don't mind that, just because the other people I'd want to. The reason I'd agree though with you that it's not necessarily a core is because if you want to get up to Şengün for $600 more expensive, I think that's fine. The other person I'd maybe want to play, Julius Randle. He has power forward eligibility though, and so I don't necessarily know if I need Ayton tagged where I can only play one center. But I agree with Cards that he's a good play. I'd probably be choosing between Şengün and Ayton.
Yeah, I want to give out real quick from Scores and Odds Premium. I'll give you guys my 2 plays. Both of these plays, from a sports betting perspective, have a 100% hit rate based off injury situations for this team this year. So the first is Bam Adebayo, over 9.5 rebounds. Without Lowry on the court this year, 7 for 7 in games without Kyle Lowry starting, going over his 9.5 rebound prop. I also like his points, rebounds, assists. Without Oladipo and Lowry, everything gets a big boost for Adebayo today. He's one of my favorite plays, but my favorite, of course, from a sportsbook perspective, over 9.5 rebounds. The other is Spencer Dinwiddie. Now, I'm playing him in DFS, but I'm double dipping. I'm going over 7.5 assists without Luka starting, over 7.5 assists, 5 of 5 games so far this year. So I like that more than the points perspective. We can see he's not really shooting too hot, but the assists are basically always there without Luka in the lineup. So those are my 2 favorite props. And if you want to check out Fanduel, the sponsor of our show, it used to be like $1,000 risk-free bet, I believe, but it's the that big game. I don't know if I can say the Super Bowl, Tostito Bowl, or whatever you want to call it, without us getting, flagged or sued. But FanDuel has a risk-free up to $3,000 bet in select markets. So if you don't have, TJ, it's crazy when the Super Bowl comes around. These sites, we're going to have our RotoGrinders party. I have access to all these in Nashville or in New York. But when some of the RotoGrinders guys fly into Nashville, they're just going to get literally, hey, sign up for FanDuel. You get a $3,000 risk-free bet to bet on the Super Bowl, right? Like, it's crazy that they offer these things. There's ways you want to attack them. Check it out. Big ups to FanDuel. TJ's just like, I'm living in the wrong part of the North America right now.
Tax-free DFS, I'm living in the right part of North America.
Yeah, that is true.
But it does make me a little more tempted to say screw it and dip into the savings and go to the RG party and just go, I got a $3,000 risk-free bet right here. I'll make it. I'll pay for my trip right there.
Yeah, you could do well. If you lose it, then you got to bet it back right away. There's ways you gotta take advantage of all that. But make sure to check that out. These are my core plays. So some of the other guys I'm looking at, and you can pretty much lock these guys in across the industry for me. And I want to get, if you got to play SGA or Lillard, who between those two, right? If you're looking up at point guard, I'm on SGA personally. Which one would you like? SGA is it's like the absolute best spot for him going up against Houston. I know some of the Scores and Odds guys, I believe, are on his points prop. I mean, this dude's going to contribute across the board. I'm giving him 50-plus fantasy points almost as a lock. They're very close in projection. Who you got between those two if you got to pick one?
I am going with SGA today. I put Damian Lillard on my expert survey as the player I'm most afraid of being underweight on today, because I'm not going to be getting Damian Lillard in my lineup, and I am getting SGA in my lineup. And so I'm choosing SGA out of the two of them. Yes, Lillard has been absolutely exploding every now and then lately, but SGA just sees a weirdly high rate increase when you take Dort off the court. Yep. I believe I'm trying to pull up Court IQ right now just to confirm I give the right number, but I believe it's a 39% usage rate for SGA without Luguentz Dort on the court. It's just insane. And so, yeah, he's definitely the number one spend up option in general for me today.
Yeah, I absolutely love SGA. I'm with you on that one. You got Jalen or Josh Green from the Mavericks. He's a nice value play. And then in tier, we've got him for, I believe, 35 minutes. And if that game goes small, you're going to see him on the court quite a bit today. So he's pretty interesting to me. I already mentioned Hardaway. I'm definitely playing Adebayo. I'm all over him today on both sites. He's one of my personal plays, right? I mentioned the rebounds prop, the points, rebounds, assists. If I'm on the over on all of those, I'm going to like his fantasy production tonight. Everything should be up across the board. He also does pretty well against Milwaukee in his last 4 starts. He's had some pretty big games against them as well. So everything's keying in for Adebayo. I know you talked a little bit about Ayton, but I really like Ayton points, rebounds, assists, get his points, get his double-double, get his rebounds. I like all those today quite a bit as well.
Something I want to kind of hammer home with SGA quick as I pull up the numbers, and it is a 39% usage rate for him. For what it's worth, Giannis Antetokounmpo this season, 39% usage rate and 1.7 fantasy point per minute. SGA with Dort off the court, 39% usage rate, 1.67 fantasy points per minute.
Yeah,
so you're getting
he's Giannis tonight.
Yeah, you're getting the same fantasy point per minute rate. This isn't a small sample size. This is over 500 minutes. You're getting the same fantasy point per minute player at almost $2,000 cheaper.
Yeah, and you can see our projections only have them, 3.5 or 4 fantasy points off. I think that's a reasonable assumption that SGA could be the highest scoring player of the night, especially Giannis. I'm on his under points prop. Grant was on it on Scores and Odds. I think it makes a lot of sense against Miami, one of the better defensive teams. Maybe Giannis. I'm on Drew Holiday's points under 2 against all these defensive players Miami can throw against them. I'm on Miami to win as a little bit of an upset that on the money line. I think that was pretty interesting. So I'm on those point unders, but I still like Giannis to have a big game. But I'm absolutely in love with SGA. Anything else on FanDuel particularly before I go over to DraftKings? Just looking through my lineups. I mean, it's basically the same guys. You mix a couple of the Dallas values. You mix one of the cheap Miami guards, play Bam, take a look at Ayton, mix in, 1 or 2 of the mid-tier, a Jimmy Butler, and SGA, and you basically got pretty good cash teams, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you. From a tournament standpoint, the one thing I want to say about FanDuel specifically is just there are some egregious misprices that we can capitalize on still. Like Julius Randle's too cheap, Paul George is too cheap, Şengün is too cheap, and stuff, and a few others. Because of some of these guys playing in these early games, with Paul George being 8,300, Ayton being a great play, and Julius Randle being a lot cheaper on FanDuel, I have a lot more pause in taking this strategy in tournaments. But on DraftKings, I think in my main tournament lineup today, I am worried a little bit about not getting to somebody like DeAndre Ayton, but I'm just going to be fading these 7 o'clock games, waiting to get Houston's starting lineup, see if maybe I get some later news, and I'm just going to make my lineups for the 8 p.m. games and beyond, and just ignore these 7 p.m. games and kind of hope that the Phoenix and Detroit game doesn't burn me. I'm not really worried about LAC and about the Clippers and the Knicks. That doesn't worry me. I can full fade that game on DraftKings especially, and that doesn't worry me. But on the Phoenix side of things in particular, it does worry me.
All right, I want to go to DraftKings, and I see in the YouTube chat while you guys are over there, if you could click the like button, there are quite a few of you. We would greatly appreciate it. So Tyler Hero, I am playing him on my DraftKings cash team. He was basically the last guy out for me on FanDuel. It came down to, do I want a cheap power forward, or a mid-tier power forward and Hero, or SGA and a cheap power forward? Someone like Watford, I think is playable on both sites. He's reasonably cheap. And I think he should get 20, 25 minutes, regardless of whoever starts in that Portland front court today. And I just decided I want SGA. So I played SGA over Hero on FanDuel, but on DraftKings, you can move Hero around. He made it onto my team over there. I think he's an excellent play. I think Jimmy Butler's an excellent play. I think Gabe Vincent's an excellent play. I think Caleb Martin's a great play. I love Bam Adebayo. I love all the Heat today against Milwaukee. I think you can play any combination of all, of 3 or 4 or even 5 of them, maybe not all 5 on DraftKings, but if you're going to want at least probably 2 to 3 Heat players on any cash team you play. And I even think from a tournament perspective, maybe I'll throw this to you. Let's rank your Heat players, specifically the top 3. What are your favorite order of them? And then of the value plays of Vincent and of Caleb Martin, who would you prefer as a value play from a tournament perspective?
See, that is a really great question, because in terms of with Tyler Hero and in general, because I do think Tyler Hero is a great play today. He's awesome, but he ranks, if we're talking FanDuel, he ranks behind Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, and Caleb Martin for me. I'd rather play all three of those guys over Tyler Harrow just because of their price tags. I'd rather get the value, go a little stars and scrubsy, because we don't typically get this cheap value on FanDuel, especially Gabe Vincent at $3,900. He ranks number one for me by far, just because who else is playing point guard? Yes, Tyler Harrow could close as the point guard if this game stays close. And yes, Caleb Martin could do a little ball handling duties. So could Jimmy Butler. But the only game script we see Tyler Harrow closing at the one is if this one is a very, very close and competitive game right till the end. And Gabe Vincent could still be on the court for that. Any other scenario, Gabe Vincent is going to be any type of blowout run, any type of second unit. He's probably going to start, as well as have to be the second unit's point guard, being staggered with Harrow, because they don't have any other ones playing today. It's Vincent, and then Harrow and Martin both can. And so Vincent is going to be my highest priority for me today. And then if you pivot over to DraftKings, I think I still think Harrow's a great play. I would want to get overweight to that 15% if I'm running 150, but he still falls for me below Gabe Vincent, Jimmy Butler, who's only $400 more on DraftKings, Martin at $4,500, and Strus at $3,800.
Yeah, Vincent on DraftKings at $3,500. I mean, as almost must play, in my opinion, just way too cheap over there. Even though he's $3,900 on FanDuel, and you can certainly play him there, that $3,500 on DraftKings plays especially well. I want to maybe start taking some questions. We're going to have a reasonably big slate. Do you have any more DraftKings particular takes or any game stacks, anything else you want to talk about from a tournament perspective before we start fielding questions from the Discord and YouTube?
On DraftKings, I'm probably making a rule that I want to play at least 2 Miami Heat players in each of my lineups, simply because not only are they in great spots with these people out, but also they're just so cheap, so way too cheap. Jimmy Butler at $7,400. Every single Heat player could be active today, and I'd still want to play a bunch of Jimmy Butler at $7,400. So the 5 that we talked about, if I'm running 150, I'm sprinkling in a guy like Haywood Highsmith in there as well. But Jimmy Butler at $7,400 is one of the most egregious misprices. Spencer Dinwiddie at $7,100 is just insane. Yep. I'm playing Dinwiddie in every single lineup I would play on DraftKings, and I would also make sure I'm getting at least one of Vincent, Martin, Harrow, Butler in every single one of my lineups, and then at least two Heat players as well.
All right, I'm going to go to the Discord and start taking questions there from the premium members. If you guys are premium members, get them in there. If not,
YouTube chat, we got 250 people. Give us 50 likes before we even think about looking anywhere but the Discord.
All right, let's go to Discord. NBA DFS wants to know, FanDuel Cash, Paul George and Watford, or Tyler Hero and Cam Johnson? I believe, if I'm looking at my lineup correctly, I'm on the first one particularly. I like Paul George quite a bit, very steady and consistent. Watford, I expect basically close to a split. He could get 20 minutes. He could get 28 minutes. He got 29 minutes last game, somewhere between 20 and 28-ish minutes in a split with Eubanks. Even with the 20 minutes, I think he could certainly get there. We've got him at 23, and I believe he was close to or hitting the optimal. I think he's a reasonably good play tonight. So I'm going to go with that first one with Paul George and Watford over Hero and Cam Johnson. I just think it's a little more – I think Paul George and Hero, I think Paul George deserves a little bit better there, and Watford could probably even match Cam Johnson, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm going to be on that side as well. I'm just trying to look around here, see if maybe there's anybody like if you don't already have Tim Hardaway Jr. in your lineup, I would way rather go with Tim Hardaway Jr. and Harrow than Paul George and Watford. And so maybe like that's kind of how I'd take a look at things. If it's a GPP, I don't hate the idea of doing something like a Terry Eason and a Watford. I think that would make a lot of sense as well. And so that would be my favorite. Sorry, a Terry Eason and a Harrow. That would be my favorite way of going about it. But if it is Cameron Johnson specifically you're stuck on, then yeah, I would rather go with the Paul George and Watford side.
All right, let's see. I'm going to go to YouTube really quick here. Thoughts, Adolfo Bravo want to know, Josh Christopher. So I was eyeing him a little earlier in the day as maybe even a staple. He's so cheap on DraftKings at 3,200. But I'm playing Gabe Vincent over Josh Christopher without even thinking twice about it for $300 more. So that's where I've gone personally. What's your thoughts on Josh Christopher from maybe more of a tournament perspective?
Yeah, so he's currently in my dummy lineup right now that I have on DraftKings. I do want to see because I have no one in these first two games. So I do want to see if he's starting for sure. If he does happen to be in the starting lineup, then I am going to like him. He's been a guy that's been producing pretty good fantasy scores lately in limited minutes. So if he happens to get 26, 27, 28 minutes today, we could see him fairly easily put up a high 20s or low 30s fantasy score. Having said that, with Jalen Green back here, I don't know how much of a role he's going to have. Like, we don't really know yet if Jalen Green is going to be limited at all. And so I'm a lot more sour on him now than I was earlier in the day with Jalen Green playing, but I don't mind him if I land on him.
All right.
Not a target, but as a last piece, it's fine.
Okay, let's see here. Eubanks or Powell? This is from Wesley B. From YouTube. Fanduel cash. I'm personally on neither. I've gone to Watford to save as much money as possible. I think he's very similar to Eubanks, and I get a cheaper salary. So that's what I've done personally to be able to spend up elsewhere. I guess Powell, are you concerned? Powell, I think we have him projected, let's see here, for 28, something like that minutes. Let me see if I can find it here. There's a lot of strange ways. One, he's never really great. I know we were all playing him this game against the Jazz the last time Luka was out, and it's just not really great. He plays a lot of minutes sometimes, doesn't really do too much. He's a little iffy. The Warriors can always go small, right, and sort of move him off the court. So I was on him. I was thinking about it, but I decided to end up taking him out of my cash game consideration.
That's the biggest thing right there. Is if Draymond Green was going to be out, I'd have a lot more interest in Powell, because that means Looney's playing a lot more minutes. That means there are minutes for Dwight Powell to play, but I think he's going to get run right off the court today, so I don't really have any interest in them. In him, I would choose Eubanks in that straight up switch, but then I would agree from a point per dollar standpoint. If you have a clear upgrade somewhere else, I'd go to Watford, but if you land on Eubanks, I think that's fine.
All right, Adam Nickel, I'm going to go back to Discord in just a second. This is from YouTube. Let's know Tim Hardaway thoughts on DraftKings. Tim Hardaway thoughts everywhere is a big yes for me. Hasn't really been shooting great recently, but you go 3 for 18, right? Once Luka goes out, he makes a couple more of those. Another 3 goes in. He's on his way to 30 plus fantasy points pretty easily. He didn't even really fill the stat sheet too much in this game. I think I did bet Tim Hardaway Jr. over 4.5 rebounds. That is one of my props for the day that I do like. But if this game's close, Clay playing maybe keeps. If the game's close, Hardaway and Dinwiddie, these guys are going to push 40 minutes in this game tonight. And even if it's not close, if it's a blowout in the fourth quarter, they're probably going to hit 30-ish by 31 or 32 by the end of the third quarter, in my opinion, unless it's just completely out of hand. So I'm definitely on Hardaway both sides for cash. And from a tournament perspective, I mean, the upside is definitely there for him tonight.
The important thing I think to kind of keep in mind is with Hardaway's ownership today is that with him being one of the chalkier players on the slate, I am okay with kind of the idea of going underweight on him because he doesn't really see a massive bump without Luka and without Wood. Like his on the season, he's got a 21% usage rate or 21.5% usage rate. It's only 24.5% without Luka, Wood, Kleba, and Bertans, all these guys, they're out. His fantasy point per minute does go up, but only by 0.09. And so if he on Fanduel, where he's going to be getting like 40-ish% ownership, I don't hate the idea of going underweight on him in tournaments. On DraftKings, where it's looking like he's only going to be about 25%, you get that 3-point bonus. I'm a little bit more willing to eat the chalk over there.
Timmy Hardaway or DFS, Dorian Finney-Smith straight up tonight if you got to pick one on Fanduel.
Hardaway.
I'm on Hardaway too. I do like DFS. I bet his Double prop. Not sorry, FanDuel. You had pretty bad odds on it. If you look around, I think I got a plus 800 or 900 on it, and he's basically right there in most games without Luka. I don't think he's hit it yet, but at a plus 800 or 900, looking for the double and rebounds, I think Finney Smith is a reasonably nice bet tonight too. Are you going to say something, TJ?
I love that call just based on if you look at the rates with Luka and Wood off the court versus on the court. Dorian Finney-Smith, his rates, every single one of his rates decrease without those guys on the court, except for rebounding. He's got the biggest rebounding rate increase on the team with those guys off the court. So he doesn't do anything else different other than grab a bunch more rebounds.
Yeah, check around for that if you're looking for another bet. Back to the Discord. Worried about Josh Hart on a back-to-back. I don't know. Josh Hart is not really, from a DraftKings tournament perspective, he is just so far off my radar tonight. I'm not really on him. Do you have any take on Josh Hart? I mean, he could certainly get there on any night when he stuffs the stat sheet, but he is not really on my radar tonight, TJ.
I like the idea of playing Josh Hart if you're not playing either of these Portland bigs. Like if you're not playing Eubanks, if you're not playing Watford, I think Josh Hart is a really good pivot because those guys failing could be because Josh Hart had a game where he grabbed 18 rebounds like he does sometimes. And so I do think that's a somewhat interesting tournament option. You play Josh Hart in a spot where you would usually play Tim Hardaway Jr., and then you don't play those Portland bigs, and your lineup is going to be very different than everybody else's. So I don't hate that idea for tournaments.
All right. Jeps14 in Discord wants to know Watford and Eubanks in a DraftKings tournament together. I would probably say no to that because these are literally 1-for-1 subs. I would just pick one and hope I pick the right one that gets on the good side of the 24 plus minutes tonight. And, you know, because there's a reasonable expectation of them to both, you know, one plays 23, one plays 25. That's what our projections have. But if one's playing really good, one of them might get 28, 29, 30 minutes. And I don't think playing both from a tournament perspective is a smooth move tonight, TJ.
The only way you're doing that is if you're also already playing Gabe Vincent and Josh Christopher and all these other 3K players as well. Mm-hmm. And you're trying to jam Dinwiddie, Giannis, SGA, and like 4 studs in one lineup. If you need to do that to make it happen, sure. But like, you better not be sacrificing Gabe Vincent or some of this other strong value to do that.
First prop, I bet Kyle Kuzma won't return for the rest of the game. So there's already one big L for me. So it looks like he's out for the rest of the game.
No, it's not an L for you. You just got to get on Twitter and scream for it to be voided.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. I forgot about that. We'll see. We'll see on that one. I don't think he's popular enough.
This is all part of the script. It's not your fault.
Yeah, he's not popular enough to get that. I want to circle back to the start of the show where you talked about your thoughts from a tournament perspective on the Denver players and Atlanta. Can you go over that really quick? We're getting a couple questions on that.
Yeah, so the 2 players that I think are like going to be my 2 favorite tournament plays on this slate are actually 3 because I got a value one that's one of my favorite plays as well. But DeJounte Murray and Jamal Murray, I think, are 2 of the top tournament plays on the slate because both of them, as it stands right now, are picking up sub 10% ownership on DraftKings, peeking over here on FanDuel. DeJounte Murray, 3% ownership. Jamal Murray, 1% ownership. Now, don't get me wrong. These will change and go up a little bit if Nikola Jokic is out and Trae Young is out. But it'll also be tough for that people to adapt because this is going to be the last game of the night. So what I love about these 2 plays is DeJounte Murray and Jamal Murray are both fine plays if Nikola Jokic is in, if Trae Young is in. They're all right. They can both put up 40 to 50 points for you and be fine. If those players happen to be out, they're right behind Dinwiddie as the very top plays on the slate. And so that's why I love getting to those guys today, because it's not like if those guys are in, you're burned in your lineups dead. You still got a solid player in the late night hammer. But if those players happen to be out, you have some of the best plays on the slate. And then on DraftKings specifically, where he's $4,900, coming in at sub 5% ownership, DeAndre Hunter in that game is one of my favorite value plays on the slate. This is a guy who has been playing high 30s minutes since coming back from injury. He had a 40-piece last game. He's only had 2 games in the last month under 25 fantasy points, and they were in games that he only played 25 minutes because of the game didn't stay close or he happened to get hurt. So DeAndre Hunter is one of my favorite kind of mid-range value plays, and that Atlanta-Denver game in general, I think, is one of the top places you can go to for tournaments. I'm looking at picking up all the Miami value, all the Dallas value, and then targeting the Houston OKC game and the Atlanta Denver game in tournaments.
All right, so we hit lock. I do see a couple other questions. It's the Phoenix, Detroit, Clippers, Knicks. That's not a ton of questions we're going to get out, but let's see a couple other ones. Let's see here. Dinwiddie or Chris Paul? That one's locked, so we can't do that one.
It's Dinwiddie, though.
Yeah, let's see. Abina wants to know Hart and Jokic. So this is a FanDuel tournament. So Josh Hart and Jokic or Dejounte Murray Sengun from a FanDuel tournament. I think you're probably on that second one for sure.
Yeah, I'd go Murray Sengun.
If you play Dejounte Murray and utility and Young and Jokic play, do you stick with it or do you swap around? Like, let's say we get that. Let's say we get that before the 8 o'clock games start.
Before the 8 o'clock games start, so that would be on DraftKings. Dejounte Murray is $8,300. Yeah, I'm sticking with it.
You wouldn't go.
No, I would go to Bam Adebayo.
Yeah, Bam. I think Bam's going to be very popular tonight. He's he's one of my favorite players. We've got 20%. Maybe he won't get super popular. I think 20% is probably actually about right. He's someone I would have way more than 20% of tonight.
If I get early news Trae Young is in, I would go Bam Adebayo. But if I don't have that news, I think I would go Dejounte Murray.
Yeah, I could play Murray, Levine. I'm not on Drew tonight. It falls off a little after there. If you're looking for a fun bet to always take is a Josh Giddey triple-double. Usually get above plus 1,000. Maybe it's a little lower today than that. But this is another game where Giddey could certainly hit a triple-double. I like him. I like Ayton quite a bit too. He's going to be popular. Yeah. So I don't know. I would probably – Murray's in. If Young's in, Murray's ownership is – we've got it at 8.4. It'll certainly be a little bit lower than that. So I don't mind just keeping him in there and riding it out. But I do like Bam for sure and Ayton. And I wouldn't mind taking a shot on like a Zach LaVine. Could always have a big game as well. Bogdanovich, if Trae is out, do you think, oh, yeah, I see you on there. Yes. That would be a yes.
Yeah, like DeJounte is my top target, but Bogdanovich is still somebody that I'd like quite a bit as well.
All right. I think we've got most of the questions. I'm just triple checking. We're up to date on YouTube. We're up to date in the Discord. We gave you plenty of bets. Again, our sponsor, FanDuel, they've upped their game. If you've never played FanDuel Sportsbook, I'm going to guess of the millions and millions of people watching, I'm going to guess everyone but one of you probably has. If you have the ability to have a sportsbook in your state, you probably have a FanDuel account. But if you don't, or you are traveling to a state where you have the ability to make sports bets for a couple of days, FanDuel's offering a risk-free up to $3,000 bet, I believe, for the next couple of days with the Super Bowl coming on. Make sure to check that out. It's absolutely amazing promotion by them. I believe we're running our FanDuel single entry series for basketball. Make sure to check that out. Also on our sponsor site, FanDuel. Check out Scores and Odds, our sports betting app here on RotoGrinders. Again, if you missed it, my two bets of the day, both of these, a 100% hit rate with current injury situations, are Bam Adebayo over 9.5 rebounds. That is hit 7 out of 7 games with Lowry not in the lineup. You take Oladipo out of there. You can also play his points, rebounds, and assists over. And then Spencer Dinwiddie over 7.5 assists. That is hit 5 out of 5 times when Luka has not started a game. Both of those I posted on Scores and Odds Premium. But for you guys tuning in, I'll give it to you for the low price of free $99. TJ, let's go win the money tonight, my man.
Let's do it. Good luck tonight, everyone. And let's win some money on NBA. It's a quiet weekend, but next weekend sure as heck won't be.
Yeah, click that like button on your way out. Thanks for watching, everybody. For TJ, I'm Britt, and we out, ya.